my name is Kathleen Barr, and I'm your student's Modern Civilizations teacher this semester. Before we jump into what you can expect for Mod Civ this semester and what you can expect for your student, I'd like to take a second just to introduce myself. This is my 6th year here at West Ranch. I teach Mod Civ and AP US History. Fun fact, I'm actually a former student of West Ranch. I graduated here as part of the 2nd graduating class. And after I graduated, I went to COC for a couple years where I completed my general education. And then I transferred to CSUN where I received my bachelor's degree and master's degree in history, as well as my teaching credential. I love my job. I love the content I get to teach, and I'm looking forward to partnering with you to help your student be successful this semester. As you can see on this first slide, my email address is kbart@heartdistrict.org. If you or your students have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me through email. I'm good at responding back. I will respond within 24 hours. Weekends, I'm a little slower, so just be patient if you email over the weekend. For the outline, here's what we're going to be talking about today. What content will students be covering this semester? What expectations do we have for behavior, the grading policy, as well as resources, roles, and responsibilities? So for the content, Unit 1, we are starting with looking at democratic revolutions. Now, before we really officially started talking about this, students spent a couple days looking at the roots of democracy and looking at how a number of individuals and groups of people contributed to our ideas of democracy today. Now, these ideas will be fought for in a series of revolutions, as we see with the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and Latin American revolutions. Unit 2, students are looking at the Industrial Revolution. They tend to have fun with this unit because it deals with technology, and we all know students love technology, and they have fun looking at the old school technologies and seeing, how they are similar to or different to the modern forms we have today. Unit 3 is nationalism and imperialism, and then Unit 4 looks at the causes and the effects of World War I. So the platforms we're using this semester, to carry out the live component of the class, we're going to be using Zoom. Now, Google Meet, I heard Google Meet may have some new features, or is supposed to have new features coming out in September. Depending on if I think those features are better than Zoom, we may or may not use it. Right now, we're using Zoom. It's been working for us. Students are given login information prior to class through Google Classroom. They've been told that they need to maintain the privacy of these links, that they are not to share login information with anybody else. Google Classroom is the main way students will be receiving material, the main way that they will be submitting completed work, and the main way that I will be giving them feedback. So expectations, students are to maintain the same professionalism in the digital classroom as they would an in-person classroom. They are to show respect for themselves, for others, and property at all times, and not engage in disruptful behavior. One of my most important jobs as a teacher is to create a safe learning environment for all students, and the way that students are interacting contributes to that. So I told students, be nice, be professional, be kind to one another. Don't be sarcastic, because that doesn't always play out very well. Be gracious with one another as we're dealing with technology and technology issues and hiccups in technology and whatnot. In terms of the tardy policy, we do enforce a tardy policy in this class. Students are to report to class on time and are to remain in the room the entire period. While students are in Zoom, they have to have their cameras on, and that's for me to verify that they are who they say they are and that they're actually in class. There will be times like during independent work where I say, hey students, you guys are going to be working on this for about 15 minutes. You may turn off your cameras, but you have to stay in Zoom. I will clearly communicate when that time is for students. And after that, we always come back, hey students, turn on your cameras. Let's go ahead and review, or let's go ahead and talk about, the next item. And then finally, students, be ready to learn and participate. Make this a class that you want it to be. If I told students, if they have questions, if they have concerns, that this is the time to ask. In terms of expectations, like more specific expectations for this digital setting we're in, I like to refer to it as Netiquette or net etiquette. A more kind of proper title would be positive digital citizenship. So students, be on time, log in, before the class time actually starts. Be in a quiet place, remove your cell phone from you, move away from, your video games, anything that could be a distraction. Don't be distracted by it. Be prepared with charged devices with your camera on. Mute yourself. Students, if I'm talking or if another student is talking, students are to have their microphones off. And I will let students know when they can, I call on them in class so then they can unmute themselves. Participate. Chat responsibly. There's a chat feature in Zoom. Students are not allowed to chat with privately with one another. If they have questions, they can type it in the chat. If they want to quickly respond to a question, they can do so as well. If a student, if they're, for example, they get kicked out of Zoom and they need to send me a private message in chat to let me know what happened, they can do that too. But it has to be classroom related, classroom purposes, and professional. Communicate, students. I told students be professional when you're communicating with each other. In terms of professionalism, no screenshots, recordings, or postings of the class. We've got to, again, maintain the confidentiality and the privacy of the class. If they use a virtual background, awesome, just keep it appropriate. And then finally, be respectful, be kind, be considerate. For the grading policy, their grades, they have weighted grades, and it is broken up between 3 different categories. Assessments, like quizzes, tests, and if there's a final, will be part of that, is 50% of their grade. Classwork, homework, projects, other written assignments are 40% of the grade. And then professionalism is 10%, which I'll talk about in the next slide. Grades are not bumped or rounded up at the end of the semester. So the 89.9%, that is a B+. And then you can see the breakdown of the grades over here on the right side in the pink box. In terms of professionalism, this is 10% of students' grades. Now, I update professionalism in Infinite Campus weekly. Other grades in Infinite Campus will be updated every 1 to 2 weeks. So with the professionalism grade, there's 3 things I'm looking at that will make up their professionalism grade. And these grades are out of 5, and again, they'll be weekly in Infinite Campus. So for attendance, are they showing up? Are they showing up on time? Are they displaying proper digital citizenship? For engagement, are they actually talking in class? Are they contributing? If we're in a breakout room, are they working really well together? Or if we're in some sort of collaborative setting, you know, are they contributing? Are they asking questions, commenting on things? And then finally, for assignment completion, are they turning in work consistently on time? Is their work demonstrating appropriate and even superior academic honesty, where their work, they're not plagiarizing, they're not cheating on it? I take a look at these 3 factors, and this will determine, and it will be averaged out into a score out of 5 in Infinite Campus, again, on a week-to-week basis. For absences and late work, I get absences happen, I get late work happens. In terms of missing a quiz or test, students are made known well in advance when they have a test. So if they're absent, it is their responsibility to communicate with me to make that up, and they are expected to make it up upon the return. Quizzes, we may have announced quizzes, we may have unannounced quizzes like pop quizzes. Again, they're still expected to make that up when they come back. So therefore, an absence is no excuse for missing an assignment or part of one. I get late work happens. I told students, just don't make it a habit. Again, you can see how it factors into professionalism, but also too, we want to make sure you're understanding content, and we don't want you to fall behind with the work. So late work is accepted, but is penalized 1 full letter grade for each day it's late. So for example, if I have students on Tuesday, if a student doesn't have their assignment then, but they turn it in when I see them on Wednesday, the highest grade they can get on Wednesday is a B. Now, say they still didn't have their assignment on Wednesday, but they have it when I see them on Friday, the highest grade they can get is a C. So after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, the assignment won't be worth points. So although there is some flexibility because there is a late work policy, it's still important for students to abide by the deadlines. Keep in mind too that if a student is absent, that it is hard to recreate everything we did in class because we have a lot of discussions. We're doing, collaborative things, and we can't recreate that outside the classroom. And then finally, students have the same number of days to turn in work due to an excused absence as the number of days that were missed. So if they miss 1 or 2, if they miss 1 class, they have an extra class to make up the assignment. If they miss 2 classes, they have an extra 2 classes to make up the assignment. Excused absence, if you want to excuse an absence, just remember, just call into the attendance office and you can excuse it. So what does a typical day look like in Mod Civ? So students will come to class, maybe if they had a homework assignment the day before, they submit that before coming into class. They come into class, sometimes, most of the time, we would try to start off with some sort of warm-up, and then we review the warm-up. And then after that, I may give a little bit of direct instruction, or we may be doing some sort of group activity, some sort of collaboration. We look at primary and secondary sources and really help students to become critical thinkers in this class. At the end of the class, I will call students back the last couple minutes, and we go over final expectations and final announcements, as well as if there's any homework that night. And then roles and responsibilities. I want to more so in this emphasize parents and families and guardians. How can you guys come alongside your student to help them be successful this semester? Number one, take an interest in what your student is studying. I always enjoy when students, talk to me the next day and they go, "Hey, Miss Barr, my family, my friends, we were able to actually talk about this thing that we just learned in class." And in that way, we can actually help students see that as they're learning this content, they can have conversations about it, which is pretty interesting. Two, work with your students to set realistic goals for success and good time management. If you notice that your student is spending hours working on homework, which shouldn't be the case, have them communicate with me so we can help them be successful. I told students too, yeah, you got to prioritize your academics, but you also got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. So make sure that you are sleeping, make sure you're eating properly. Make sure that while you prioritize schoolwork, that you are also taking time to do things that are just good for your mental health. Monitor your students' progress. Again, I regularly update Infinite Campus. If you have questions, if you have concerns, communicate with me. Also, to students, they can send me an email and they can set up an appointment to virtually meet with me during flex time. So if your student needs some extra kind of one-on-one help, either have them send me an email and we can go ahead and set up some time, like an appointment during flex time to just help them with what they need. And then again, as you see, my email address is on the screen at the bottom. If you have questions, if you have concerns, please communicate with me. I am, again, looking forward to this semester, and I'm looking forward to partnering with you to help your student be successful in the course.